Fish disease case number 13. Today it's about the Blue Damsel, Abudefduf, a fish that is wasting away, weak, laying on the bottom, having damaged fins, dying. Not much we can see as a pathogen with the naked eye. This is what we see on the picture. You see some damaged tail, a fin, some lesions. Not much to see. Let's see on the video. Well, you can see some fin rot here at the pectoral fin and at the tail. And the fish is suffering from respiration problem, laying on the bottom. So you see the fish is suffering, so you want to know what is wrong with this fish. When we look at the tail, we found here a bunch of bacteria, which is a colony of millions of bacteria grouped together on the tail. Here you see the tail rot. And we seen some parasites here. We also seen some looks like columnaris infection. It was not obvious to see here, but this seems to be all sonal columnaris. It was not so clear to see in our microscopic observation, but we supposed to have a mixed infection found with columnaris bacteria grouped here together like tubifics. But when we looked more closely, we saw parasites moving around. Here we see a parasite, and here we see a parasite. So it's not only the bacteria which we noticed, but also some parasites. So we had to look more further in other parts of the skin tissue that we could find. So we went more in detail. We found here a cryptocarian. This is a small cryptocarian parasite, and here is another bugger moving around, which we will see later on. But this was a cryptocarian. Now we go in detail. Here we see a beautiful view of the mini cilia of the cryptocaria moving around. That's how the little parasite is feeding and moving. So cryptocarian was starting to become an infection, already part of the infection on this blue damsel. And when we looked further on the tissue of the skin and the tail, we found Uronema parasites, which is a ciliated parasite that causes serious damage and lesions. It reproduces very fast. You can find more in my videos on YouTube and in my books on this subject, because this parasite is a nasty thing and moves into wounds and make the wounds larger and bigger and more difficult to cure. So you have to treat from the beginning. This is the parasites again at a smaller magnification. You see how many are moving around and they are damaging the scales and the fish's fin. So this is a combination of bacteria and parasites. And at the same time, we saw damaged gills. You see here the gills rotting away. That's why the fish had also here had some respiratory problems causing it. When we looked internally, we also saw that the spleen had some macrophage centers, possibly due to bacterial infection. And we also found that in the liver, some ready bleeding blotches in the liver tissue, looking very unhealthy. So we found that as a mix of problems, most likely due to a bacterial infection and a combination with parasitic infections. So the thing you have to do is killing the parasites, which can be very nasty, particularly the Uronema parasites. And you can try to use Farnamore or FMC. FMC is my combination of formalin, malachite green and methylene blue, which is a perfect killer for parasites. Unfortunately, you cannot use that in reef tanks. Freshwater baths can help, but only when the fish has no large wounds. In this case, it might be questionable, but it would be possible because the fish has only some fin and tail rot. So a freshwater bath in a water that has a pH more than 7.5 would be a way to clean the fish from the parasites. Also apply an antibacterial medication like furaltadone, 2.5 grams in 100 liters for at least 24 to 48 hours. Feed the fish with pro and phytobiotics to help the defense system. We recommend therefore our Bassleer Food Matrine that helps the fish to protect from the parasites and at the same time repairing the fish and repairing the microbiome and the skin flora and the mucus. So this is a mix of problems, Also think always, Why did my fish get sick? Why did the fish get an infection? Usually it is stress or transport or aggression or a food problem. But see, this fish had a mix of problems, bacteria and parasites. So the next time we will talk about the mortality loach with red patches on the skin. Some interesting case we found also in our hobby. Thank you for your attention.